So this trip was a real case study in how to successfully travel and vacation with your bike, with family. 1 week I had here, 3 locations from downtown Chicago, Great Wolf Lodge in North Chicago, and now in beautiful Gary, Indiana. In all 3 of those locations, I had to figure out where to ride. So far, I mean, it's, well, last day of riding, I'd call it a success. First location was Chicago, and that was pretty easy. I just made sure our hotel was near the waterfront, because there is a 30-mile continuous path along the waterfront that's really nice. The only challenge with that is it gets really busy, so the rides have to be early in the morning, which I'm fine with, and also helps with family. Good thing about my kids being teenagers, they sleep in a little bit, and there's really like in Chicago, museums aren't open until 10, so it gives you a big chunk of time to go explore. And so that Chicago trip, staying in Chicago, was, I guess the easy part was knowing that the trail is right next to downtown along the lake and just finding a hotel close to it. I also have a friend in town, joined up with him for some rides, which is nice. My buddy Walt, that I know from riding Zwift. Second year I've come to Chicago, second year I've got a chance to ride with him a couple of days. That Chicago part of it was really fun, and I love riding along the waterfront, especially if we got some unique weather with some really strong winds and some rain. Saw some big waves on Lake Michigan, surfable lake waves, which is neat. I would have loved to have tried that. Yeah, Chicago was probably the easiest from the standpoint of routing, because you just get to the lake and go north or south. So stop number 2 on the family trip. After we left Chicago, we went up to Great Wolf Lodge in Gurnee, which is North Chicago. Now I've got my gravel bike, and I wanted to find something that was more off-roadish. And to my surprise, I look up Strava heat maps, and there's this dark red line along a river. Investigate some more. Shows it as the Des Plaines River Trail. Look into that further. Come to find out, it's a gravel path that goes like 50 miles from Chicago to Wisconsin, all along the river, which is really great. Perfect. I mean, unbelievably perfect. And the hardest part was just navigating to the trail. It was only 2 miles from Great Wolf Lodge. Found some little neighborhoods to cut through. Plotted all of that together. Plotted the trail and saved it, and ended up doing a couple of rides there, north and south on the trail. The only thing I ran into in Great Wolf, I was meeting up with a friend of mine, again from Zwift, another one of my internet friends. He lives up in Wisconsin, and he wanted to come ride one day, so we planned on it, and he has 28mm tires, so we were going to go ride that path. He knew it, and he felt like it was firm enough where he'd be fine. Problem was, we got a ton of rain the night before, the whole day before really, so he was hesitant to ride the path because it was just gonna be kind of washed out, muddy for road tires. So I quickly went back to Strava heat maps. I had my laptop with me the night before, and just looked for dark red lines again. Found a north-south road, and then found a little loop that looked like it worked, but there was a dead end looking sort of thing where the line wasn't as dark, but it looked like it went around. It looked like a nice little quiet road. So for that loop, I did my thing with Google Maps, looked at Street View. Sure enough, this road was awesome, but it also had a gate. It looked like a farm, but it was a paved road. It wasn't like a hard gate. It had a little, you could tell by Street View, you could go around it. So I knew we were gonna be riding early in the morning, before 5, left before 5. So I went ahead and routed it around through that little section. We had a nice, really nice ride. And so there's like a situation where I used Strava heat maps initially, and then last minute had to get to Google Maps. And actually Ride with GPS has a little bit of heat map stuff, but the Strava heat map's a little better. And it worked out really great. We had a good time. So that again was, even on the fly, I can usually figure out a way to get that done. Works out good. So this leads me to the last of my family vacation adventure. We left Great Wolf Lodge and went to the lake, South Lake, Michigan, in one and only Gary, Indiana, which my friends from Michigan are a little appalled by me vacationing in Gary, Indiana. But we found a house on a lake that was close to Chicago. But it's a house in a neighborhood, pretty industrial area, so it wasn't really easy at first to find a route. And this is the route I'm on now, and it's been an accumulation of piecing together some state parks, some beach roads, some paved trail, some unknown paved trail. There was a section on the heat map that was pretty dark red that was absolutely a swamp on Google Maps. So at that point I trusted heat maps. Like, if people are going through there, then it's got to be good. And so this route took the most time to piece together. Started from the house and just started looking at what direction to go. We're on the beach, so you know, beach roads are typically pretty good, and I connected it to a state trail, found an old rail bed. There was a little bit of activity, not a lot on Strava heat maps, but there was a definite trail even marked on the map itself, like the Google Maps. And so I took a chance with that. That ended up being really fun. Went through the Dunes State Park and then connected. I knew there's this place, Calumet Trail. Trying to get between the state park and the trail was the biggest challenge, and that's where I connected with that, what I thought was the swamp road, or the swamp with the trail through it, and found that connector, which made it all possible to stay off. I mean, I didn't hit any busy roads. It was all paved trail, neighborhoods, beach road, all low mile-per-hour signs, you know, 25 mile per hour signs type of areas along the beach. So, and then some random dirt roads that just kind of connected through. All that possible by, you know, starting way before my trip, doing my homework, looking at, like I've said before, looking at those heat maps, looking at Google Maps, even gravel maps can be helpful. I found a couple things there. That's getting better. And Street View, just to look at intersections even, just to get an idea of what I'm getting into. And it all worked out. Got a little lucky. Calumet Trail was kind of wet. But other than that, man, this has been great. I'm heading back home now to go do some things with the family. I'll be there by, you know, like 8:30 in the morning, and they'll be up by then, hopefully, maybe. But all this planning is done, so I get up super early, ride bikes, go see an area, and go do fun stuff with the family. And thankfully, you know, my wife's cool with it. You know, that's part of it, is, I guess, like setting expectations, seeing what her expectations are, most importantly, what the family's expectations are, and then working around it. It doesn't always work to have a bike, but I like to, and I enjoy it. I try to include, when I can, find a bike rental place and see if the wife and I can go do some biking. This wasn't a place for that. But I try to do that as much as we can because that makes it fun too.